Ark is a game full of so many creatures and also a lot of maps. And it happens to be that Ragnarok is a very popular one. So here are the 10 best creatures for Ark Ragnarok. Also, make sure to like and subscribe as it really helps the channel. In at number 10 is the Pteranodon. Now this is found on pretty much every Ark map, and you should tame it pretty much on every Ark map that supports it. Obviously you can't really use it on Genesis Part 1 or Aberration, so don't use the Pteranodon there. The thing is about the Pteranodon is it is such an easy tame, and it is just a quick way of getting you up into the air. This thing really is a great creature that every beginner can wield to their advantage. These things are great for metal runs. They also have great speed and could just get you around the map safely, so you don't just have to keep going on the ground and getting killed by raptors or whatever in the early game. Also, if you were thinking about doing any kind of cave runs, the Pteranodon is a great option too, as it can quickly get you to the entrance of a cave, and if you have another couple you can quickly fly back. But there's only one real thing about the Pteranodon, is its saddle is a little bit annoying to get with all that chitin and keratin. Also, if you thought the Pteranodon doesn't deal enough melee damage to kill things, you'd be wrong, as a good high level Pteranodon can kill quite a lot of big creatures. I have killed a few Rexes in my time with the Pteranodon. Also, if you are a PvP Ark player, taming a Pteranodon is a great shout, as these are very good for any kind of raiding due to their spin ability. If you were thinking about taming one, just simply bowler one, and then probably at the stage you'll have the saddle unlocked, you will use a crossbow with some trancos, but if you are still in the early stages of the game, use a club. In at number 9 is the Baryonyx. Now this is really an essential creature on every map, but it can especially be useful on Ark's older maps, such as the Island, Ragnarok, and the Center. This is a great creature with not a very difficult taming method. It deals great damage and will probably kill most things that you will face in Ark. You're probably not going to take it into boss arenas, but for killing things like raptors, terrorbirds, maybe even Rexes and things like that, these will do a perfect job for you. But now it tends to be that their main use is for doing cave runs, as these things are big enough that they will deal a good amount of damage, but they are small enough that they will fit into most caves easily without using glitches or hacks or anything like that. Since cryopods have been released, this doesn't matter so much, but it is great that you don't have to cryo your dinos during a cave run. They also do have a secret ability in water, which can stun creatures very large. But also, if you didn't want to use these things for traveling, these are a great option as well, as they have great speed and they are very agile. The Baryonyx is not the kind of creature to get stuck on all the objects Ark has to offer. But also, if you were wondering, how am I actually going to use that spin ability, which I just briefly showed you earlier, these things can stun things up to the size of a Megalodon. As you can see here, they are completely stunned, and if your Baryonyx has enough melee damage, you can finish off some deep sea creatures really fast. Sadly, this won't work for Plesios and Mosers. And if you're taming, just make sure to head straight to the swamp. In at number 8 is the Thyler. Now these are found in any redwood biome that you can find on any map. These are quite common on the island as well, but they are definitely useful on Ragnarok as well. The amount of mobility these things have once you obtain them is absolutely insane. Yes, I do have a bit of an extra speed boost here. This isn't their official speed, but if you tweak your settings a little bit, these things can travel across the map at insane speeds. And even at default speeds, these things are insanely fast. Also, they can even climb up walls and vertical surfaces, so the Thyler is also an ideal choice for doing base raids. And on top of all of that, they're not even a very difficult tame, apart from them obviously spawning in the redwoods, as the redwoods is really a biome you don't want to be in. They are a very simple knockout tame, and if you have a net gun, these things are definitely a breeze. Another cool ability they have, like many other creatures, is a bleed ability. You can blast through so many creatures with this ability, so it is so good that this creature has it. It just really makes this thing a melee beast, quite similar to the Deinonychus or even a Carno, as they all share this same ability. These things are just so mobile and so full of features, you have to tame one. In at number 8 is the Giga. Now this is a very widespread creature and is used by a lot of Ark players. But this thing is so much better to tame on Ragnarok than on the island, as these things actually spawn in a reasonable manner. On the island, these things are so rare and rarely even ever a high level. And if you are going to tame one of these things, you're going to go for a high level, because they take a lot of commitment to tame. The amount of tranks you're going to go through, and probably quite a lot of metal you are going to go through by building a trap for one of these things, is insane. Also, you're going to need a hell of a lot of narcotics. But if you are looking to tame a Giga on Ragnarok, head straight to the Highlands part of the map, and you will find at least 2, probably even 3 Gigas on that biome. Once you've got your Giga tamed, you kind of know the drill. These things do insane amounts of damage to every creature and are just great tames to have. They can wipe out any creature you have faced in Ark, no problems at all. But the sad thing is they do have really terrible stamina, so don't even bother leveling that up at all, as it's not going to make any significant difference. But also be careful with these things, as you do not want that little rage meter of theirs to fill up to 100%, as your hard earned and well deserved tame will absolutely wipe you off and kill you immediately, and you will lose the tame. So in at number 6 is the Carcharodontosaurus. Gosh, that is an absolute mouthful. At least you don't have to spell it to tame it. But anyway, this essentially is an upgraded version of the Giga in my opinion. It has actually good stamina for once, so this can actually run around. It's a lot faster than the Giga, and once its meter has built up, it will do a lot more damage than the Giga. These things are going to spawn in the Highlands biome as well, like the Giga, and also their population will probably be about the same as well, so you can expect about 2 or 3 of these to be lurking around. Now, just to briefly talk about stamina again, these do have a lot more stamina than the Giga, and also definitely level this up, as it will actually make a significant difference, as these things can run for a while if you just pump a couple levels into stamina. But obviously you're not just going to want to level stamina on this thing, you're going to want to take advantage of its great health and also really great melee damage. This thing really couldn't be better. Out of any map, Ragnarok is definitely the best place to tame yourself a Carcharodontosaurus, but that doesn't mean they're just useful on this map as well. Definitely give them a go on Extinction, as they are great. But still on Ragnarok, they will plow through any creature with ease. In at number 5 is the Megatherium. Now these really are great herbivores, but they also have a wealth of other really useful features as well, which I will get onto in just a moment. The Megatherium can be found in the Redwoods biome and the Ice biome of Ragnarok, and really is not going to be a trouble to tame at all. Just simply trap it with the net gun or in a 2x2 little foundation trap that you can make, and just pop a few tranks into it, and very soon it will be knocked out. Its saddle also isn't that expensive too, so that does come as a bonus. These are great herbivores. Obviously they come with the same advantages as many others, but they also have many other things on top of that. You may not think the Megatherium is quite agile, but to be honest, it is actually a very good creature for traveling and movement. These things really do move at a quick pace and can get around everywhere. But also, they can just do the traditional herbivore things of just gathering some berries. These things can definitely do that and will do that very well. But also the Megatherium has a very useful hidden ability, which is specifically useful on the island, but is very useful for doing some caves on Ark Ragnarok. When they kill an insect, they will get a rage buff, granting them damage reduction and also extra damage. In at number 4 is the Mantis. Now this can be found all over the kind of volcanic biomes of Ark Ragnarok, and these definitely have a wealth of abilities which will be extremely useful to any Ark player. As you can see here, I have equipped swords in the arms of my Mantis, but you can also use things like hatchets, picks and clubs. Pretty much any melee weapon will work in the hands of this thing, and they will do what you would expect that tool to do. In this case, I'm using swords here to kill a Diplo, and it is doing a very fine job of it. This thing does a lot of damage when it has these things equipped. But just remember, when these are equipped into the Mantis, the durability drain on this thing is a lot. But on Ragnarok, I specifically like to use these things for harvesting sheep to harvest mutton, because there are so many sheep in the Highlands biome, and the Mantis gives quick work to all of these things. Obviously, you don't just have to kill sheep, but I would mainly stick to killing sheep with the Mantis, as it is just so good at doing this. But you can kill big carnivores with it as well. That aloe went down pretty quickly. But also the Mantis is very mobile as well. It is a very good travel creature. It can get you across the map pretty easily, but just watch out because it has a quite low health stat. In at number 3 is the RG. Now this is a great creature to have on any map, but it is definitely extremely useful on Ragnarok, and it can actually do some Wyvern runs if you're on a pinch. But the main use of an RG, of course, is its extreme use for metal runs and things alike. It has weight reduction for things like metal, obsidian and crystal, and its saddle acts as a portable smithy. This may not be the fastest flyer, but it will definitely get all of your Ark needs done. The RG is going to give you a wealth of features that you will simply love. This thing has great stamina, unlike the Pteranodon, and can pick up even larger creatures than the Pteranodon. If you want to pick up an Anki with this thing, that is a great choice, as a tamed Anki in the hands of an RG is so good for metal runs. Also, if you want to heal up quickly, if you eat a dead corpse, the RG will heal insanely fast, as it has a great ability for that. This is great in a pinch if you have just been in a heavy heat of combat. Also, the RG has a reasonable health and melee stat as well, so don't underestimate its power. In at number 2 is the Griffin. Now there is a lot to say about the Griffin, and this is really an amazing creature that every Ark player should tame. And actually, just as a little fun fact, this was the map that the Griffin was introduced on. The Griffin has a wealth of abilities and is also great for taming Quetzals, as you can use your weapons on the back of this thing. But most people know it for its dive ability. This thing really makes it zoom across the map. Yes, a Wyvern may be faster on paper, but when this thing dive bombs, this thing can travel so fast across the map. And also, don't underestimate its power. This thing deals an insane amount of melee damage and can actually deal damage in a lot of ways as well. Obviously, it's going to have its standard bite ability, which is really going to pack a punch. You will see me kill a Bronto in a second with this thing, but the Griffin really does have another trick up its sleeve. But just before I tell you about this ability, I want to tell you a few possible uses. Personally, I think this is a great thing to use in PvP, as you can trick your enemy quite well. As if you're attacking them and then you leap into the air and dive bomb down onto them, it will do an immense amount of damage, and this Bronto really didn't survive that well. But also another great use for the Griffin on Ragnarok is for raiding Wyvern nests, as you can just quickly pop in and just take that egg and fly out, because these things are really agile, and with that dive bomb ability, the Wyverns are never going to catch you. And finally, speaking of the Wyverns, in at number 1 is the Wyvern. Now that actually is a common misconception that Wyverns were first introduced on Ragnarok, but that is very far from the truth. These were first introduced on Scorched Earth, but Ragnarok still did introduce one Wyvern, which is the Ice Wyvern. But today I want to talk about the Lightning Wyvern, as I think this is the most useful. Any Wyvern is as easy to tame as the next. Now obviously a Wyvern isn't easy to tame, but they all have the same taming method. All you have to do is go into the Wyvern trench, probably use a Griffin and steal its egg. The Lightning Wyvern has a wealth of abilities, such as its normal bite, and as you just saw about 10 seconds ago, its lightning breathing ability. But there's also something that gets missed out quite a lot. It is actually a reasonably good wood harvester, as you can use its wing flap ability. You can do this by pressing C on your keyboard. And on top of that, if you wanted to use these things for taming, these things are great as well, as they can pick up any medium to large size creature. And the Wyverns are actually faster than the Griffin, just sadly they do not have that dive bomb. But anyway, that marks the end of today's video. Comment your top 10 below if you didn't agree, and I'll see you all later. Bye.